We came from very different backgrounds.
Be classy, be genuine, be grateful.
I wanted to help out and contribute and sort of give back to the people that had helped me.
Man, welcome to the intro. No need for introductions. All about the world and the world what we discussing. Where every single thought that we had came from something. So it's funny that we made it when we started here with nothing. Gotta open up your mind just to find out why. When you lost inside the dark, just gotta turn on the light. And no matter what you do, you never run from a fight. Because we fighting to be better and that's why we strive.
Hi, I'm Corey McCain, CEO of We Strive, the #1 platform for personal trainers, gym owners, and coaches to both manage and scale their business. I'm your host for Why We Strive, where every Tuesday I sit down with some of the most incredible tech founders, investors, and creatives to find out how, when, where, and why they strive. Be sure you tune in every single Tuesday and check us out at whywestrive.com for more info. Now, let's get to this week's episode. Okay, take 5. Welcome to the Why We Strive podcast, episode 6. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Ugochi Owo. I'm the CEO and founder of Flindel, and also working on another project.
What is the other project? What are you guys currently doing, and how is that all working?
Yeah, so the project is run by one of our advisors, and he's a really, really great guy. His name is Kush Saxena, and he's was formerly an executive at MasterCard and is now working at a division of Santander Bank. And he's just like a really incredible dude with a passion for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And he's working on a fund / accelerator incubator-ish thing, but specifically focused on emerging market deals.
Very cool.
So giving founders that are based in other markets like Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, the opportunity to thrive.
Very cool.
Hence the title.
Very
Why We
cool.
Thrive.
Very cool. Why We Thrive. Very cool. Okay, so what is your, I don't know, you can't say too much, but like, what is your role going to be?
I can't say a lot, but like I'm just involved and like just a cheerleader.
Okay.
A cheerleader, and like who knows what it'll be.
That'll be very cool. And wait, what is your background? Are you from the States or where are you from?
Yeah, I was born in Houston.
Okay.
And then
Nice.
I went to high school in Canada.
Okay.
And lived in Canada for like 10-ish, like a little bit over 10 years. And
Okay.
then I would spend time between both Toronto and the States.
Very cool.
And in that time I became Canadian. So I am Canadian, American, and Nigerian. So like
Very
my
cool.
ethnicity is Nigerian.
Very cool. So is a lot of your family from Nigeria then, or like?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But my siblings, no. I was my siblings
maybe
all
not.
live.
Maybe they're all Canada.
Yeah, maybe they. Yeah, no, my siblings, they all live in different states. So my parents like kind of shuffle between they're moving back to the States. So yeah.
Very cool. Okay, I don't know enough about Nigeria, so I'm gonna be honest. Any random
worries.
fact I should know?
Random fact.
You guys like the #1 exporter
We're
of like.
super great at soccer.
Okay, I know that though. I know that.
Very,
Yeah.
very good. We have a team called the Super Eagles.
It's a cool name.
What else is there? Nigerians are very hardworking and very disciplined.
Okay,
So
okay.
typically, the way that we grew up is very, very, very like education is first.
Okay.
And like eager to learn and like you can't give up. Like my mom and my dad would always say growing up, like nearer cannot kill a bird. So it means that if you have
what can't?
they would say nearer cannot kill a bird.
Nearer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it means that if you have a rock, this is a very, very valid description, but if you have a rock and you're throwing it at a bird, if you got near to it, it's not going to kill the bird. But if you like actually hit the bird on target, then you'll make it.
Yeah.
So with my siblings and I growing up, they'd be like, oh, like you need to like shoot for like the sun, because even if you don't make it, you'll like land amongst like the stars.
Classic.
And
classic one,
that
nice.
was just how we were raised.
Very cool. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know a lot about the space itself.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of questions, but they're not really about what you're doing. It's about everything else. About you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what are you guys doing? It's pronounced Flindel, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pronounced Flindel.
What are you guys working on? What are you doing? Why are your advisors so successful? Like why is your company have such cool people around it? Like what's going on? Tell me a story.
It's like a top secret. I'm kidding.
Okay.
We have been working on figuring out the issue with the logistics space, but specifically in terms of reverse logistics, which is like the returns aspect of life.
Gotcha.
And for me, I'm the kind of person that as a kid, if I had a puzzle and there was a piece missing and it wasn't in the box, I would need to go to the store and get the exact same puzzle box and find the one missing piece and put it in. Like, I'm like that.
Would you open the box and take the piece out, or you would buy the other puzzle and then bring it home?
Get the other puzzle and then bring it home. Because the other part is like illegal.
Yeah,
but like,
I don't know if you just open it up. You're like, well, this is the one that's missing a piece.
Can you imagine? I'm like at Walmart. I'm like cutting it open with like the little knife.
If you're missing a piece, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'd be like the puzzle stealer. Like that's how we might name.
If you took one piece out of every puzzle,
how frustrated would the world be?
That would be an incredible crime. Yeah, okay.
Puzzle heist coming to you 2023.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
No, I can't stand like puzzles, like missing, like if something is missing, I can't stand it. Okay. And when it came to Flindel specifically, like I didn't wake up in the morning with a passion for logistics, because logistics is not a sexy word and it's not a sexy industry. They do
logistics here, so
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And logistics is not a sexy word at all. Yeah. It's like for me, I am a Costco member in my 20s. Okay. Like, just let that sink in. Yeah. And Costco being like Costco's like amazing, because at Costco, right?
Oh, you Costco.
can
They said Costal, and I was
no. Costco.
I'm definitely a Costco member. I just was at Costco. That's why
I love Costco, and I've always loved Costco, and I've always been like I get everything from Costco. Yeah. And the reason behind that is because Costco has an incredible returns experience, right? Which means that like at Costco, if you ate a steak and you were not feeling it anymore, you can return like the piece that's left of the steak and bring it to the lady and be like, I was not happy about this steak, and you'll get your money back. Nice. Will you do that? 9 times out of 10, no. But then because the experience is so great with Costco, you're encouraged to spend more money at Costco. You're encouraged to tell everyone to shop at Costco, and you're encouraged to keep coming back to Costco, right? And specifically in the retail space, returns has always been like a broken experience for e-commerce. So meaning that like the beauty of e-commerce today is that, you have companies like Shopify and BigCommerce that have like done really, really well for themselves and really liberated entrepreneurship and made entrepreneurship accessible for like everyone, like your everyday Joe. We can just decide to sell stocks tomorrow and it'll work. Exactly. But the thing about it is that you can be in Australia and have customers all over the world, but when it comes to returning that stuff, you're still in Australia. So everything still has to be shipped back to Australia. And for over 70% of e-commerce merchants outside of Amazon, they can't afford to pay for your return shipping. So customers have to pay. Customers have to pay for it. So like as a consumer, if you're being told like, hey, you need to pay additional money to be able to return these socks that you're pissed off about, you're not going to pay extra money to ship it and have it be delivered tomorrow. What ends up happening is that like it comes like weeks later simply because you chose the cheapest shipping option. And for you get your circle back or your refund or whatever weeks later. On the merchant side, that item's decreased in value by over 45%, not because there's vomit on it, not because it was destroyed, but simply because of the fact that like it took so long for it to get to their home. For it to get to their warehouse. On our end, we believe in a future very, very similar to the Jetsons, where everything happens and it's integrated into the consumer's lifestyle. So what we're building at Flindel on the consumer side of things is you'll be able to return things from your house, like without having to leave your home, and get your money back the same day. And that's the future that we're working on. So we believe that 5 years from now, the idea of having to go to any store, whether it's a brick and mortar store, to go to the post office to return anything, no longer exists, but it's integrated into your home and into your daily, routine.
Okay, I have one really big question. Yeah. Do you mean like you're physically building a system that will do that, or what do you mean?
No. You take a photo.
You know what Pipe Dream does?
What do they do?
Hold on, I've never done this before. I'm gonna get them in here really quick.
Okay.
No, I want them to hear that pitch.
Wow, we're gonna have a crossover episode.
So all right, so give Garrett give Garrett the full pitch you just gave me, and then I want Garrett to talk about that too. Okay.
Do I start off from like when I was born, or like?
I prefer it.
I was born years ago. We at Flindel, what we do is that we are focused on reverse logistics. So we give customers the ability to be able to return anything from their home as opposed to having to like go to the store or to a post office and get their money back the same day. And it's free returns experience for the consumer. And the reason why we're tackling this problem, is because of the fact that like on the e-commerce side, the beauty of e-commerce is that you can be in Australia and have customers all around the world.
Yeah.
The con of e-commerce is that you are still in Australia.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the reverse logistics, things still have to be returned back to Australia. And there's no current way to be able to aggregate return products for the merchant. And when you look at the differences between e-commerce and brick and mortar, the advantage that brick and mortar has historically had over e-commerce is that if you're going to Costco to return something, you take it to Costco, and it's not going to go back to Central Costco. No, it's going to be put back on the shelf.
Yeah,
so
totally.
it means that if you don't want that item, the next customer coming behind you does, and will be able to purchase it at nearly around the same rate. What happens today in e-commerce is that, like, because as a consumer, over 70% of like e-commerce items, like from merchants outside of Amazon, have to be paid for by the consumer. You're not going to choose like get it tomorrow to be shipped back to the retailer.
Yeah.
But what you will do is you'll look for the cheapest possible shipping method, which ends up sacrificing the priority of your package. So it hits the retailer's warehouse in like weeks later. And on your end, you're like, oh, cool, I got my refund back. Retailer's end, man, this item's worth like 45% less because it's now in like the secondary sales window. So for us, what we figured out is that there's a way to be able to do this process for e-commerce returns without necessarily having to do the obvious answer. The obvious answer is that there's a ton of companies that have tried to be in this space, and it's very, very tough, very, very
Super tough. It's the holy grail of logistics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once you get reverse logistics, you're good. But like, it's very, very, very tough. And it's so tough that like when you're starting a company, an e-commerce company, Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento will tell you, forget about your returns. It's gonna suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it's for sure gonna suck. Life is gonna be hard. Like just like forget about it.
Amazon's usually like, hey, just keep it.
Yeah. That's the problem with
Yeah.
returns. And for us, what we realized, like the obvious answer is that in order for returns to make sense, you'd have to give the same experience for online merchants that you do for brick and mortar, which is having hyper-local centers in every single city and things being returned to that city and being reintroduced via software into that market. And we actually built that software. And then we were like, wait a minute, this is going to cost us like over $200 million to be able to do this in the US alone, not talk less of any other place in the world. And there's all of these different factors that go into it. And the aha moment for us as a company was when we realized, oh crap, if someone's returning a TV, it's probably not outside.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably not outside. So we're like, there's a way for us to be able to decentralize warehousing, but on the reverse logistics side, by having the consumer's residence or their domain be the warehouse.
Ooh.
And then when we figured that out, we were like, shit!
Yeah.
We got it!
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So let's say like I have, it's my Teletubbies t-shirt. I ordered it. I love the design. It just doesn't fit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to return it. So I submit a return, and then it like sits in my house for like a day until that store finds someone else who needs one, and you like get it to them, or they come pick it up.
Yeah, so the way that it works, right? So we use artificial intelligence to be able to diagnose the item. So what we realize is that, and a lot of customers don't know this, right? Reverse logistics isn't sexy until you get into the space. Like, well, this is kind of interesting.
Oh, it's super sexy.
Yeah,
Maybe the sexiest.
I'm like excited now. And
when you say return logistics, it's like, ooh, okay.
And basically what happens at a warehouse, a lot of people don't know, is like you're shipping your item to the retailer and you're paying for it to be shipped to see if the item qualifies for a refund. And you're paying for that, and that's like a whole process to see if, right? Mm-hmm. And when an item goes to like a retailer's warehouse or whatever, you think it's a fancy smashy process. No, it's an 18-year-old kid being like, yo, yeah, this seems legit. Checks off in the box and circles back. On our end, we realized, man, our smartphones, cameras have gotten so much better these days that you can actually diagnose a problem by treating it that this is what a cracked iPhone looks like. This is what a red t-shirt looks like. This is what this looks like. And you can get like, you can do the exact same thing from the comfort of your home with your phone, and we can tell you, yes, we're going to take it. No, we're not going to take it without us having to even touch with the product.
That's amazing.
And then we were like, okay, things are moving. Like this makes sense. And that's kind of like where the decentralization of it came from, because we would be able to service customers not only in Austin, but like everywhere nationwide, and then also in Canada and Europe and other markets without us having to lift much of a finger.
Yeah, totally.
And that's when we were like, okay. And then what happens is that when we accept an item, we use Ethereum's blockchain to be able to issue out the refund, which means that like smart contract means that all the conditions of the contracts have to be fulfilled in order for funds to be released, right? So what are the conditions? Did you crack the TV since you told us about it? We come to your home, we pick up the item, and then we, like in the 7 days, so we schedule a pickup date within 7 days. In the 7-day window, like you get your refund instantly, but it shows us pending immediately. But in the 7-day window that we've scheduled for the return pickup, we've actually listed those items on over 6,000 different liquidation sites. So sites like nationwide sites like Bstock to like local sites like Facebook Marketplace, etc., or Meta Marketplace, etc. And we, with a strong preference to local sites. If the item gets sold locally in Austin at the time within that 7-day window, it gets picked up from your home and then gets delivered to customers' home in Austin versus being shipped back to another place and then shipped back to another place.
Yeah, totally.
Who does the pickup? I don't even know if long enough. Yeah, who does the pickup?
A cool partner that we just partnered with that will announce in a formal post in a couple of weeks. But like it's a nationwide.
We'll do an edit.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. That's it. Yeah, it's the holy grail of logistics. Return
Yeah.
logistics like makes everything easier.
Yeah.
Not just from like, yeah, I mean, you know this, but like, not just from a return standpoint, but unlocks like new types of e-commerce that you're able to do.
100%. And you get so much data.
Mm-hmm.
Like the data that you get, and not like data to disrupt anyone's privacy, but the data that you get on consumer behavior, the data you get on like what's happening in that market. Maybe in Nebraska, people don't like air conditioners. Let's see why. And like there's so many things that can happen, but then also taking it a step further, like for us, I'm not a crypto person, right? I'm not naturally a crypto person. I never woke up and I was like, crypto is sexy. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I got into the crypto space and the reason why like we started to, because we actually issue our refunds back on the blockchain with a stable coin, right? But then from the consumer's perspective, it's like we're giving you a universal store credit. So meaning that we have a marketplace that all of the stuff just go to as well, so you can buy, you can transact in app.
So you can probably buy some of the stuff from the
yes, you can transact in app and get those items in app. And then the cool thing about that is that it gives crypto like the first time ever you can buy things with crypto and like it actually means something to you, right? So like I was saying, I'm not naturally a crypto person. Mm-hmm. Like one of our advisors is a guy named Michael Arrington, and he's the founder of TechCrunch, but most importantly, like now he's like really focused on the crypto space. And about a year ago, he had like been urging me to like look into crypto and like, Ugochi, you should really be reading things like the Bitcoin Standard. And I was like being like a bratty kid, and I was like blah blah blah, I don't care. And one day his fiance called me, and she was like, Ugochi, you need to like get into this space. And I read the Bitcoin Standard, and I prior to that only saw cryptocurrency as like, I put some money into this, y'all. I invested in Dogecoin, Q4 2020.
Hey, so did we, yeah.
a few $1,000 turned into God knows what. Because I came in at 0.0032. It was
heck yeah!
It was a nice time, and like I left in March, and like I.
You need to leave in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Uber just pulled up, but this is so interesting.
No,
Keep going.
I invest or whatever, and then I only see it as an investment vehicle, and then I read the Bitcoin Standard, and I'm like, oh wait, this is supposed to be money? And I start meeting, I lived in Miami for a couple of months to like explore that space, and I start meeting all of these people that were like heavy hitters in the crypto space, and I'm like, oh, this is supposed to be money. And I said, oh wow, there's so many different benefits to the space. Long story short, when it comes to the merchants or the retailer side of things, we want to encourage merchants to adopt cryptocurrency transactions, or really more or less like blockchain transactions. Why? Peer-to-peer, no chargeback fraud. So as a consumer, you buy an iPhone from Apple, you come home and you're like, damn, that hurt my pockets. You call JP Morgan, or you call like whatever bank you bank with, and then you say, hey, Chase, I didn't feel comfortable with this phone. Chase takes the money from Apple's account without giving them the ability to resolve the issue directly with the consumer. And for merchants, they lose 3 times. They lose on the product because you don't have to give it back. They lose on the money because it's been taken from their account. And they also get charged between $20 to $100 per chargeback.
Man.
And if it's enough, $20,000 fine.
Man.
And if enough of those, they get their account either suspended or they have to do a high risk account.
Oh my gosh. All right, so yeah, I gotta bounce.
Yeah.
But like right before,
drivers.
Corey's probably gonna ask this, but like, what's the number one thing that people can help you with right now?
Number one thing that people would help me with, like what kind of
Like, are you live in Austin? Like, can I use this?
No, you can use it towards the end of the year.
Nice. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm gonna be your number one customer. I love returning stuff. That sounds weird, but
Thanks.
I love buying stuff online, and I hate not having the option to
Right.
return stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna switch
Awesome.
back.
It was great to meet you.
Great meeting you.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Garrett's
back.
gonna get in his Uber. That's been outside for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, thanks for letting me comment, Jan. That's like return logistics.
I'm
is my
surprised
love
that they
language.
waited
It's so
for
cool.
you. In Miami, they would have left. And if it was in LA, they would have left.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, that's why I want to get him on here. Let's make sure we're good back on the cameras and we
Are we good?
Gucci once more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're super into logistics. So like, I'll connect you guys further after this. But
For
like,
sure.
they're doing like the manual physical building of the logistics, and then you're doing like the return
Right.
digital building of the
Right.
logistics. So yeah. Anyways, we'll connect you guys. We'll get that going. But that's very cool. I mean, I understood that you guys were in the crypto space, and I knew it involved returns, but I didn't know it went that deep.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's actually a really good idea.
Thank you so
Now that I
much.
have like a grasp on what it is, like that just makes sense.
Shout out to Pipe Dream.
Shut up, Pipe Dream. Oh, well, I mean, it was your pitch. I mean, Garrett did good, but like it was, he kind of sat there and asked questions. You did a great job of explaining it. I just didn't understand the premise before. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your advisory board really quick. So you have an amazing advisory board.
Thank you so much.
Let's go through the people on your website, because you've got. Do you have them memorized, or should I pull it up here really quick?
I mean, I talk to them often enough. I hope I have them memorized.
I'm gonna pull it up here. That's why I have my iPad. Shout out to iPads. I finally bought one. It's like so great.
Sponsored by Apple. Please pay us.
Shout out. We did another Costco. Shout out. You and I were talking about Costco, and every episode I'll mention Costco somehow. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Andre. Okay, you got a general partner of Maple Ventures. We got
The best.
head of marketing for Meta. Okay.
Andre's amazing, and her husband. Shout out to her husband.
Okay.
He was former CMO at Soho House, and is now
Okay.
GM of TikTok.
Okay, so you have
they're a marketing
you have
family.
him too. SVP of Global Operations for Uber.
Shout out to Mac.
You have the serial founder and a board member of South by Southwest,
Team
and then you
is
have
awesome.
the founder of TechCrunch. He's also the founder of Crunchbase too.
Yeah.
Oh.
He isn't original with names. Hi, Mike.
So we have all 5 of these. What is going on here? Like what? So I feel like this looks like one of those websites that like you put together and threw stock photos on, and it was like, I'm gonna pick really successful people, but these are your actual
That's
advisors,
actually
though.
funny.
Yeah, so it's like the CEO of TechCrunch, founder of TechCrunch, would be like a person you'd be like, oh yeah, he's totally my advisor, and just like that's a funny thing to put on there.
How funny would that be?
like-
No, but he's
yeah.
he's a great dude. Like all of them, they've been like really great cheerleaders for me because. When it came down to like building the business, I knew that there were so many factors that would make this so hard.
Yeah.
One, I didn't know enough about the logistics space to feel confident in like fully entering it. Two, I didn't know enough about the tech industry. I didn't really know many people, right?
Same when I started,
And Dean was the first person that took a bet on me in the entire industry. Like
Dean McCall,
yeah.
board member to South by Southwest. There we go.
He's like incredible. You know, I like messaged him on LinkedIn, and even today, like when people message me on LinkedIn, I have to like consciously remind myself to try to like read everything and like reply because someone helped me at one point.
To an extent, like sometimes you look at it, you're like, that's spam.
Yeah, 1000%.
Yeah.
But like I try if it's like an 18-year-old kid being like, hey, like can I pick your brain? And I hate that term, and I can't believe I used to use that term.
I don't use it anymore either.
Yeah.
So
Cringe.
Yeah, only because it was overused. I feel like it was a good term until.
But then the way it
that was
sounds,
the
like, can
LinkedIn.
I pick your?
Yeah,
can I dissect your
Can I waste
thoughts?
your time, basically?
Yeah. So can I just be on the call and breathe?
Exactly.
So I try to reply now, but like at the time, like I was like getting into the industry and I wanted something that was like mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I grew up in a family where everybody was very hardworking, but like I came from a privileged like family. So like when I was growing up, my parents would always say like, you know, you guys need to like, my mom and my dad, you guys are living in my dream.
Nice.
They're Nigerian. They're like, this is my house.
Nice.
You guys just happen to be living in my dream, you know? And I wanted to be able to find something that was my own thing. And when I got into the industry, I saw my dad like build like incredible relationships growing up with everyone happened to everyone, in the political space in Nigeria. And like, he had a whole philosophy growing up that he would teach us on non-transactional relationships, meaning that when you're like knowing someone, like you actually have to be friends with them. You can't like be like, okay, this person is going to be useful in my life for this.
Exactly.
You need to know people's birthdays. Like you need to be like a human, if there's synergies, there's synergies. If there's not, there's not. But like at the end of the day, life is super short, and there's not enough time to be like fake. Like there's no point in being like that. So for me, when it came down to building the company, I knew it was going to be hard. I didn't realize like how long it would take for us to be able to like figure things out, because it was like reiteration after reiteration after reiteration. And I tell people like when building any kind of business, I call it the path to culturability. Like I'm not Jewish, but Jewish people like they always say like this is kosher. Like that means it's good. Like it's proper. It's clean. It's been done. And the reality is that everything is not going to be kosher in the beginning. Like building a startup in the beginning, it's hard and it's sketchy, and that's the reality, right? And for me, I was like, how do I make these problems like not disappear, because I know it's still going to be an uphill climb, but be slightly more bearable? And how do I make sure that we can actually do this? I said, let me put down a list of the companies that I admire and the skill set that I need, that I feel like I'm lacking, because I don't have a co-founder. So in a way, our advisors are kind of like a teeny tiny co-founder.
A mega brain co-founder.
And I wrote down like a list of like the companies I admired. I'm like, I really like Uber, because Uber like is so magical to me, because there was a point where they were launching a new city like every couple of days.
Oh, it's insane.
And and they and the thing about Andre, by the way, is that Andre was one of the first 20 people hired at Uber.
Oh, very cool.
And then Andre hired Mac, Andrew McDonald, who's like currently head of global ops at Uber, and like getting their perspective of Uber in the beginning, and then Uber at the top, managing hundreds of billions of dollars at this point. Like it's very, very interesting to be able to see like, okay, this is how that happens. And even if things may not necessarily make sense right now, it'll for sure make sense eventually. So I wrote on a list, and then I just started reaching out to people. Like I would message them on like Twitter or whatever, and I'd be like, hey, we should have coffee. And thankfully they would respond, and I would tell them like this thing that was in my head, and I'd say like, I'm really, really determined to be able to make this work. Can you help me? And 9 times out of 10, like they'd say yeah. And
very cool. That's a good ratio.
That happened. And I think
I don't have that ratio.
I think the thing is just that like more people are willing to help and like share their story than you'd realize. Like if someone came to you and they're actually serious, like you wouldn't say no. You would be like no, like you because that's weird. Like you would say like yeah, and you'd have like the one meeting or the one call, and if it makes sense, you kind of continue going on. And I'm like super blessed to be able to call these people like friends as well, and
very
just
cool.
great people.
No, I love that. I think one of the big like topics we have on this podcast a lot is that it's not the connections you make, it's like the connections you make, and then you get rewarded for being a genuine human being. Like you get rewarded by just being kind to people, knowing their birthdays, hanging out with them, and that will eventually lead into something. Like it's not about just like having a Rolodex of contacts.
I think the thing is also like, because if you compare corporate relationships to like startup relationships, like they're pretty organic, man. Like here it's like you meet someone you're building and you hang out, and if synergies happen, right? In the corporate space, it's like, let's schedule 30 minutes on the calendar, and if this doesn't happen, like life is never that deep. Like the way I always say it, and when I tell my team, and they always look at me like I'm crazy, I'm like, what if you got hit by a bus tomorrow? Like, and it's always a bus, it's never an airplane or anything else. But like I'm like,
you get hit by an airplane, or if you
can get hit by a bus. Like if you get hit by a bus, like nothing actually really matters. Like you need to just be good to people, and have that be your reputation. Your reputation is so important, and it's important to treat people like the golden rule. Like I try to live by that, and to make everyone feel like they matter, because at the end of the day, no matter how much money you make or whatever, like it doesn't go with you.
That's right.
So
facts. Money in the grave. There you go.
When I die, put my money in the grave.
That's a great song. With Flindel, do you guys have like competitors yet, or like where are you guys at with that?
Right now we have a pretty unique model. So there's been companies that are in the space. I'm not gonna name drop them because I don't want them to get any time. But like,
exactly.
There's companies that are in the space that they've tried to tackle the returns problem before, and it never worked out.
Yeah.
And reverse logistics is a really like complicated thing in the sense that there's the problem of having to print out your order form and like, you know, go to the post office and like slap the label on. And there's companies that digitize the order form. There's a problem of having to wait in line. There's companies that tried. A certain company raised hundreds of millions of dollars and was drastically and disastrously shut down a couple of years ago. I won't name that either because founder and I think we're like on LinkedIn or something. But like yeah, like there's companies that try to like pick up item from you and like wait in line on your behalf, and that didn't work. There's companies that have tried to like encourage people to go to the mall to return things, and that didn't work. And the reality of the space is that no one's been able to really solve reverse logistics because it sucks for everyone that's involved. You can't solve one problem without like you can't solve the consumer's problem without addressing the retailer's problem. You can't solve the retailer's problem without addressing the consumer's problem. So it's always been like a catch-22, like a lose-lose situation. And
Are you guys kind of like the Amazon returns for all non-Amazon situations?
We are like the Uber of returns. I'll just say it like that.
Okay.
So when you think Uber, you think instantaneous, and you think convenient, and you think to your house. You think comfort and convenience. For us, we bring that comfort and convenience to your home. So meaning that like I used to watch the Jetsons a lot growing up. It was like
your second reference so far. So.
Yeah, it was my favorite show. Like, you know, like I'd watch that show and I'd be just like gazing into the screen. And when you think about the Jetsons, that show was made in the 60s. And they predicted FaceTime. They predicted a lot of different things.
Oh, they did have FaceTime.
They did have FaceTime. Jordan would always get fired like every day, like but via FaceTime.
Nice.
And you can imagine like what they thought that the world would look like, and they imagined the world to be an instantaneous world, like where everything happens and it happens conveniently and like to your doorstep. So like they would never go out to eat in a restaurant. Their house would become the restaurant. The food would come on conveyor belts, very similar to Uber.
Very cool.
And Uber Eats, right? So you can imagine like for us, we were like, okay, so there's all of these different spaces that are being disrupted. Why not commerce? And why not like returns? And the reason why not returns is like when I, you know, was speaking with them, like it's very, very dicey. And it's the first time in this space that this thing has been able to be simplified. And we're super excited to be part of that story.
Very cool. And what made you guys come up with the name Flindel?
Super random.
Flindel
has nothing to do with anything. I was like, so I learned how to like code when I was like 14.
Okay.
I was in a program called the International Baccalaureate program at the time, and it's shout out to IB and all the IB kids. It's like AP but like on steroids. I wouldn't recommend it.
Was this like online or what was
No, it's like in real life. Like I did in Canada, and I was part of this program, and they only give you like one elective like your entire high school career. And the elective that I chose was this class called Introduction to Technology, Information Technology or whatever. And I had a teacher, his name was Mr. Patir. He used to wear like a black turtleneck sweater every day.
Ooh, bougie,
like Steve Jobs. And he sometimes would end class with like one last thing. And they played a movie called Pirates of Silicon Valley one day in class, and it's a movie from the 90s, and it's a movie from the 90s, and it channels the life between Steve Jobs and Bill Gates growing up, right, to the creation of like their respective companies. And I'm 14. Everyone else is like on their Blackberries on BBM talking to each other, and I'm like looking at the TV, I'm like soaking it up, and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna be in the future. Nice. And I said I got a code. Bill was coding. I need to figure this out. And at the time we were toying around with HTML in class, and I just started to like learn. And the way that the name came up was that I was coding, like I was making a website like for fun in the library of the school, And I was just like throwing out a couple of things, and you know how you can do your comment blocks or whatever in code, and I was throwing out a couple of things, and then I just like the word just kind of came to me, and that was my aha moment. Very similar to how Steve Jobs, like the word apple was like apple, but like for me it was like Flindel, and I was like, I don't know what a Flindel is, but I'm gonna tell my dad. And I texted my dad, and I'm like, hey dad, I feel like the name Flindel would be a really cool business name. And my dad, being like the great, you know, human that he is, he just like bought the domain, and he was like, you know, if this ever like if like whatever you end up doing in life will just be called Flindel.
Is he a good businessman though? Did he sell it to you, or did he give it to you?
He gave it to me because I'm his daughter.
Did he hustle you? I was like, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool.
How horrible would that be? I'd be like, yeah, then my dad forced me to pay for my own
Adam
domain.
Newman you, just like made you to buy it back from him.
Right.
Nice. Who's the team comprised of right now? Like, how many of you are there?
Yeah, so there it's a lean team, so it's under 15 of us.
Okay.
and
Same.
it's shout out to
Lean.
Lean. Shout out to Lean. You guys should read the Lean Startup.
Lean Startup. You're starting off. It's a great book. Seriously.
And like our CTO Alex is incredible, and a few other people that are working with us. And like right now, we're actually hiring. By the way, we're looking for people that are like super experienced in the space, that have been in the game for about like 10 to 20 years.
In logistics, or in what space?
Specifically logistics.
Okay.
The reason behind that is because of the fact that we have a couple of great deals for nationwide expansion and nationwide rollout, and we need like grown-ups to be able to do those deals. So you know, we don't want to have like certain mistakes that other companies have had by scaling too fast without having the properly experienced individuals involved. So I'm like super excited about current setup, and also very, very excited for the new people that are coming on.
And did you guys raise a funding round recently to pay for all these human beings that are working with you? Or
I pay everyone in pizza. No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say, I was like,
yeah, no.
So
we have raised a bit of capital, and then we'll be taking in a little bit more capital in the next coming weeks.
Very cool. Just like you closing like a seed, or where are you guys at?
We're raising our Series A.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like
Shout out
cool.
to you know that song of Meek Mill, "The money turned my noodles into pasta."
Yeah, what is that song called?
I don't remember what it's called. I just remember.
I have it on my workout playlist. I can't remember what it's called though.
I just thought the song was so funny.
He's
the money turned my chicken into lobster.
I wish I remembered the name of it right now.
I don't remember it either.
I think it's an inappropriate name. Wait, I'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it. Are there certain things that you've done as a founder that you like would take back, like that wasted a lot of your time or anything like that?
That's a good question. Shoot, man. No one's ever asked me that question.
Seriously, I get that asked all the time.
Yeah, no one's ever asked. Everyone always asks, "Ugochi, what's keeping you up at night?" And I'm like, I don't know, stress. Maybe that might be it. Like, I used to freak out about every little thing. Like, someone would email me, and I would reply back like in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, I was that person. I was like, it was like an alarm clock was in my head, and then I realized that I'm not a robot, and it's okay not to be a robot, and it's okay not to respond to anyone, regardless of who they are, within like 24 hours. I can respond within 40. My window is 48 hours.
Yeah.
Now 48, sometimes 72, but like really 48.
Yeah.
Like within that time frame, and that's okay. Like there's no like, oh my God, you have broken the godforsaken rule of like no. And then with text messages, I changed my number, so only a handful of people have my number now. Shout out to gang.
Represent.
And because I would just give, I had my number in my email, like in my email thing, like, my name, and then, all of that, then my number. And then people from random companies would just call and be like, we'd like to partner. And it would always be just weird stuff. My phone was always going off. And then I had pressure to like answer my phone all the time, even though it wasn't relevant to like my life. Right. So I never had an off. And then now, because of like Zoom and everything, like no one needs to have like access to you like that. So if you have access to me, you're either like one of our investors, like all of our investors have my number, or you're like my family, or you're my friend, and that's like the way I keep it, And and
we'll put your number up on the screen.
Yeah, I'll actually answer it. I'm kidding. But like the other thing is also that dang, what's the other thing? I wouldn't have put as much stress on myself. Like, that's the whole thing. It's like, I would have allowed myself to be able to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because I felt that, like, being, like, young, I had something to, like, prove to everyone. Like, yeah, I know things. And it's okay not to know things. Like, that's, like, life is about learning. Like, even the people, like, I have met some of everybody in this industry. And, like, even the people that are in these great positions in life, like, the reality of their life is that a lot of success is a function of grit and luck.
I do love
like
that word,
fortune.
grit. Grit's an underrated word.
Yeah, like it's a function of those two things. Yeah, you have to grind, but then there's like a really, really popular Bible verse, not to get preachy, that says like the fastest person isn't always going to win the race. And I remember reading that and I was like, damn, so I could like train and things could also not work out. And you have to allow in your life the ability for serendipity to happen. So like if you are serendipitous, meaning that if you are like if you live life with an optimistic outlook, which is the way that I try to live life. So no matter what's happening, no matter how long it's going to take me, if I put my mind to do something, I'm going to do it, right? But I'm not going to pressure myself to do it within this particular time frame, this particular way. I'm going to let life happen. And 9 times out of 10, like the things that you stay up thinking about and worrying about, like would never actually happen.
Exactly.
Like my fear used to be, it was so stupid. I'd be like, man, everything's gonna go shit, and then I'm gonna just be like a hobo. Sorry if that's an offensive term, y'all, but like I'm gonna just be like on the streets. Like I don't know, like I like realistically, would that ever happen? No, but like I was like just thinking the worst of the worst case scenarios and not allowing myself to breathe. Like I would not. Like I'd be so stiff as a board and I wasn't like a relaxed person, you know? And what I would tell myself in summary is just chill out. Like it's gonna work out. Things are gonna be fine. People are gonna believe, like, and everyone's gonna be excited about things. You just need to chill out and allow yourself to be able to like enjoy the journey. Cause sometimes like, you know, when things are happening and then you get so like absorbed into like this industry that a good thing happens and it doesn't even like resonate with you, and you're just like,
it happens more and more the deeper you get into it too.
And then my friends, like I have a friend that's a doctor, and she was telling me, she's like, Goshi, like what's the tech industry like? I want to get into tech and like, you know, like get rich or whatever. I'm like, by the time that happens, I promise you wouldn't even care. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you know Thanos? Like, you remember watching the Avengers and then Thanos, like, snaps his fingers, kills everybody, and then he goes to go and rest and watch the sunset?
He's just tired.
That's literally what it is. Like, you can have the most amazing deal come. You can have, like, the biggest round of your life close. And then instead of being like, oh, my God. Like, you're not like, you still feel that a little bit, but you're like...
well, for me, it's like, what's next? Like, like we're finally starting with enterprise, so we're gonna have way more sales soon, so I'm not worried about it. But like our small business has been such a slow growth, and we're finally hit like. But I was like, if we can just hit 3,500 MRR, then we can hit 5. We're gonna blah 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 blah. And we finally hit 3,500 MRR, and it just happened overnight. I just didn't even. I was like, next. Like I just didn't even care. Like you start to lose the endorphins of like small goals. So I think it's important to like. Let yourself chill. Be like,
and take time and celebrate the little things.
Yeah,
take time and celebrate like the little things, the little wins. Like I remember our first check was like shout out to everyone that's part of that group, but like they invested like $20,000 in us, right?
That's a really good check when you start.
Yeah, it was our first, but like it didn't really do much in terms of like drastically changing things, but it was a really big encourager because it meant that someone actually believes that we could do this, right? And it was like, yay, like this for sure will happen. And I think for founders, even if you haven't raised a single dollar, like the fact that someone perks up at the sound of your idea means that there's actually something that's there. And being able to kind of like not, and I would also tell myself to hang out with more people. Like I would always keep to myself, and I would like I know a lot of people, but like I always meet people like one-on-one. Like I wouldn't like go, you would not catch me at like a networking event or whatever. Like I wouldn't go to those things. And I started showing up to more things, not for the purpose of networking, because I wouldn't really like, you know, but like I would just meet other founders, and it would be encouraging to meet people, and then they'd say, yeah, I'm going through this too, and I'm like, oh, what? I'm not only like, it's not just me in my head and I like this is amazing, like people can like share their struggles and stuff, cry over pizza about someone that you had to fire. That's a tough thing, is like when you fire people and like they don't realize how tough it is for like you like fire. I
always feel bad for the employee, but it's like you have no idea what it's like. Like just take a piece out of
yeah. So Yeah.
Thankfully, I've only had to let go of part-time people. I have not yet had to let go of a full-time person. I'm just like, I really hope I don't have to do it. I mean, I will at some point, but I'm just like, oh, for the love of God, I don't want to go through that.
No, I fired somebody a month ago, and like, I felt like, man, I was really rooting for them. Yeah. Like, I was like, Tyra Banks, like, I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. And like, there's opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and like zero performance, right, the entire time. And I was just like,
that makes it a lot easier to let them go, though.
It makes it easier, but then I think for me, I get so invested to like, I want everyone in my life to succeed. Exactly. Yeah. So like, I get so invested into like, no. Like, if you just like, I'm like, if you can just try like a little bit harder, like if you just apply yourself, if you just push yourself, like you've got it. Yeah. And then they just, you know, they didn't have it, and I was like, man, this is costing us money. Yeah.
That's tough. Wait, one thing is I feel like we've been talking about like inspirational stuff for 30 minutes, and I want to get back to what Flindel does. Because I'm like, I can talk for days about like just the startup grind and the meaning of life and startups, and I'm like, wait, I haven't asked you any Flindel stuff in like 20 minutes. Back to Flindel. What are you guys like? Do you consider yourself like part of the crypto space, or do you just feel like you have, like, are you going to Web3 happy hours, or are you just kind of like we are that's a great that's a good question. Well, but like, are you going to those, or are you just kind of like, we are a reverse logistics company, and then like we happen to have Web3 involved?
Yeah, we are a company that happens to like we're a company that's focused on like solving the returns problem. Okay. But like, because of the amazing involvement of like blockchain, we're a company that's tackling the commerce space, starting with returns, but powered by crypto. Yeah. So I'll show up to like one or two. I've spoken at a crypto conference.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I spoke at a crypto conference in Miami.
Oh, cool, and nice. Was that the one in March? Or
No. It was in November. Oh, and gotcha. Like, I just, you know, like they'd asked the person that runs it like knows me, and he was like, Coach, like, can you say something? I'm like, well, we haven't really announced it yet, but like, sure. Nice. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I've got a lot of buddies in the Web3 space. It's definitely like it's definitely growing very. I mean, it's obviously has ups and downs now. So, but I mean, it's growing so rapidly, and like, there's so many. Are you happy that you're in Austin while you're growing this company? Or?
Yeah, I think, you know, I tried a lot of cities, man. Like, I've like I lived in Toronto for a bit because of life, and I lived in Houston, and I've you know, spent time in New York, and I've spent time in Miami. And the thing about Austin is that Austin has genuine people. Very genuine. And for me, when I was living in Miami, and I don't care about saying this because everyone that knows me knows my stance on Miami. Miami is a very, very shifty crowd, and I couldn't be in a place where like I had to be on guard the entire time, because I'm someone that naturally wants to help people. So like, if I meet someone and I know like, oh, this is good for you, I'll just like make the intro like on the spot, you know. And like, in Miami, you gotta wait like 30 days because what if they go to jail? Like it's like literally like that's how insane that scene is that someone can get like arrested for this, or like they, you know, like may not have a real thing, or like, yeah, like Miami's very, very, very there's like good people there, but there's also a lot of bad actors, so it's very, very tough to fully be comfortable there. And I think it's also a place that's a little bit distracting when it comes to like, yeah, people are building real things, and I'm not gonna ever dispute that, but like, when you're running into like a celebrity every week, like at a random party or whatever, you get like you just get into that lifestyle. And I think Austin has a very, very great balance where people are not very flashy out here.
We have like tech celebrities.
Yeah.
So like,
but like everyone's
know who they
like
are.
Right. Everyone's like just like chill. Everyone's normal. Like, and everyone is just here to build good things and just have a great time. And the thing I love about Austin is that it's a very supportive community. So like, everyone wants to see everyone. I was gonna say win. Everyone wants to see everyone strive.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
That's exactly it. Everyone wants to see everyone like be their best, like be at their optimal potential, and like no one is greedy here. Like people like. Yeah, that's my friend that happens to be the CEO of whatever. Like, come meet him. Like literally, right? So that's just how life is over here, and I really, really appreciate that, because that sticks more closely to like my core values. Plus Texas barbecue, and I grew up in Houston.
Nice. Well, it's funny you say that about Miami, because like, I mean, when we had Garrett on, he was talking about how he could never live there because it's so distracting. But like at the same time, with the shifty thing, I can't attest to that necessarily, but I can attest to when I lived in LA, it wasn't the shifty thing. It was the kind of stick out for yourself. And then the second thing was that like a lot of bullshit. Like it was a ton. So over here you might have shifty, but over here you had like, they're not shifty. They're just saying they're doing something. And then like it's 20% of what they're actually doing. Or like they know, everyone knows the Kardashians. It's like, no, you fucking don't know the Kardashians.
Right.
It's like, so it's a whole bunch of that stuff that you have to deal with. And like you said, being in Austin, like everyone's so just fun and willing to help and like, oh, you're doing this, I want to go like.
And then also the cool thing about Austin is that it's so small. I've never been in a city where everything is like 15 minutes, 20 minutes away. Houston, man, everything is 45 minutes to an hour away. And the thing about Austin being small is that you can't be a bad person over here. Because if you are, people are going to find out. And like, you know, it's like a very, very small like community and everything. So you have to be on your, like, you have to just be like yourself. Like be yourself. If you suck, like you suck. If you're great, you're great. And
exactly. No, I mean, it's, that's why like I'm hosting this event tomorrow night and it's like sold out in like 3 days. It's like everyone just goes to stuff. They're like, oh, 10 minutes away. Let's do it. Like,
literally.
It's so amazing. What is we got two questions left. One is what's your typical day like, and then two, like what is your next kind of step?
Cool.
So what is a day like in the life of how did you pronounce your name? Because I feel like I don't say it correctly.
My name is Ugochi.
Ugochi.
That's the Nigerian way.
That's what I thought I said. Okay.
That's the original way that my parents intended.
How did you say it?
And
I thought you said it way
sometimes
faster.
people say like Ugochi, and like I don't care if it's that, but like it's either Ugochi or Ugochi, but like the Nigerian way is Ugochi, and as I'm getting older, I like just pronounce like the original. I embrace the original.
The OG. Okay, so Ugochi.
Yeah.
So Ugochi Owo.
Ugochi Owo, and then my nickname is Gucci.
I love that. So that's such a sick name. Yeah. Such a cool nickname. Okay, so what is a typical day like in the life of Ugochi Owo?
Tomorrow, for example, I'm gonna get up at like 4 a.m. because I have a meeting at 5 a.m. with a business partner in Dubai.
1,000 push-ups.
And of course, y'all. And then I eat my protein bar. No. I get up at 4.
You get up at 4 every day?
Every day I get up around 4:45.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
gross.
and don't take this as advice.
Do not.
My
do that.
mom
That's disgusting.
used to wake me up at 6 a.m. to have like family time. Listen, when I was a kid, and it just kind of like translated into adulthood.
I'm a 6:15 to 6:30, which is already pretty early. Yeah. 4 is like the day before.
Yeah, my parents, like, they used to like wake us up really early as kids. So because of that, like I actually can't sleep past like 6:45.
Yeah, no, I can't either. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I never really like, I've slept in a couple of times, like I've always been sick or it's been like New Year's or something.
I feel gross when if I wake up past like 9:30 or 10, I'm like, well, I might as well just go back to bed.
My
day's done.
I'll call people at 8 o'clock. I'm like, how are you not awake? Dude, it's lunchtime.
They'll get upset. I'm like, dude, I've already worked out and had breakfast and had a call. Like,
So I get up and then like tomorrow, for example, shower. No, wait, not shower yet. I'll get up. I'll like think about my life, and then my dog will be like, woof!
Nice.
And I have to go take her for a walk. So we'll go for like a half walk, half run, and then come back. By the time I get back, I'm like mentally awake. So like today, for example, when I went on our walk run, I had like sunglasses on because there's just light, like not the light of the sun, but you know when like the street lights are on or whatever, you're not fully awake. So I'll do that, then come home, shower.
He's here. 1 second.
Yeah, you're fine.
Let me call him really quick.
Intermission.
Let me grab him really quick.
Yeah, you're good. I walk my dog, come back, shower, and then I kind of like look at my calendar to see like what's going on, and then I mentally prep for the day. So like I'll like, I'm Christian, so like I'll like read a couple of like encouraging, Bible verses or whatever. I'm like, okay, God's got me, I got it. And like I'll jump on calls because I work with people in different time zones, and then like part of our development team is in Poland, so like
I'm in Ukraine, so
so like I have to be like awake, and like talk to them or whatever, and then then it's like sometimes it's a mix of like virtual and then in-person meetings. Like right now, like we're am I allowed to say that we're raising SEC laws? Okay, right now we're talking to people for
maybe
fees.
raising.
We're maybe raising, I don't know. But so like I just like either like a hybrid of like in person, which is like talking to people physically and like commuting and all that, and then Zoom meetings, and then I'll do that until my cutoff is usually around like maybe 7, and then sometimes late meetings, but not like meeting to meeting to meeting. Like there'll be like intermission or whatever, and then I'll come home. I'll walk my dog.
You got a happy hour. hour. There you go.
Yeah. And I'll walk my dog, and then I'll like circle back on email, because that's another part of the job that people don't realize is like you're talking to people, and then you actually have to work.
You have to like do both things. At the same time.
And then so I'll circle back on email, do all of that, and then walk the dog and hit the gym and come back, shower, and then maybe watch a movie or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, a solid day.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's like a regular day. And then
God.
weekends.
What time do you go to bed?
Maybe like 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
6-ish hours of sleep. Okay.
Yeah.
I get like 6.5 or 7. I should get more, but like, I just can't do it.
Yeah, but I was reading a study that said that like the 8 hours thing is like a myth, because like I can't like not function on and I don't take coffee, by the way. So like I don't like need like 8 hours to function, but like I need at least 5.
I need 7.
Yeah, I need at least like 5 is like I'm awake. I'm not gonna like randomly fall asleep during the day or whatever, and then 6-7 hours is like kind of like my sweet spot. Anything that's like beyond 8 hours, I feel like I like am sick. Like I feel like
gross.
Like I feel like when you don't work
like
out
reverse effect.
Right. When you don't work out for a minute and you start to turn to mush. That feeling, that's how I feel like when I oversleep.
I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing here. What you guys are doing a lot of things we can't mention, but we'll tag and post and see what's going on.
Yeah.
What are you guys working on next? What's next for you guys?
We're working on ironing out the logistics behind like nationwide expansion. So like we have a lot of like really great partnerships that we're doing, and like I'm super excited to be able to roll out to every customer in the US and hopefully Canada.
Every customer in the US, wow.
Yeah. We're like to be able to be available to every customer.
Okay.
So like not like everyone just randomly like the U2 album. You remember when Apple forced us all to have the U2 album?
Good reference.
Can you imagine like you wake up and you just have like the Flindel app?
That's
and
a good partnership.
Factory installed on your phone.
Yeah.
I'd be so happy, but like everyone would be so confused.
Yeah.
But like we're looking at like a nationwide rollout and
Very
just
cool.
the internal mechanics behind doing that, and then just like new hires, man. I'm so excited. Like our team is growing, and like things are good, and we're kind of like coming out of this point where we've been quiet for a little bit while figuring things out. So like we're gonna be kind of taking PR by storm and like making a lot of noise, and I'm nervous but like also excited for it, because with media, like there's a point where they send you the article, you can tweak it, and then there's another point where you just like start reading random things about you. Like I actually didn't say this.
Nice.
So I'm slowly working my way into like talking more publicly. Like even with Twitter, I didn't tweet for the longest because I didn't want everything to be taken as a thing. I didn't want like someone that follows me that may be high profile or whatever to like something controversial that I said, and then all of a sudden becomes like a soundbite on like a business a Mashable article or whatever. So with Twitter circles, man, I've been like tweeting, and then eventually I'll start tweeting on my actual like page. Like you guys cannot read my tweets because it's only available to like certain people, but like
I'll retweet them.
But yeah, like I am like slowly working my way up into like, okay, this whole thing about being a founder is that with press, like people don't want to hear about the company, they want to hear about like you, and then it becomes about you, and then eventually you don't have as much control. But I'm like excited along the way. I think Austin's a really great place for us to be.
You're going to crush it. And I think like that's a good spot to end this interview, because I think next year I'll probably have you on again, and we're going to talk about this interview and then where you guys are a year from now.
Yeah, and what would be funny if we were like, Billie Eilish does this one interview every year, and it's like the same interview that she's been doing for the last like 5 years.
I have not seen that.
From when she was like 16, and she'll
she'll
just have it like side by side with her face, and she's like, yeah, I'm Billie Eilish, I have 1,000 followers on Instagram, and then it'll be like, hey, I'm Billie Eilish, I have 64 million followers on Instagram.
Okay, yeah, we'll do a mashup.
Pretty sick, but like, yeah.
Okay, I'm literally gonna write that down. Well, awesome. It's so great to have you on, and we're gonna do the closing now. They told me to say it, so I started saying it. That's why we strive.
That's why we strive.
Bam. I wanted to thank you for watching this entire episode of Why We Strive. Be sure you head to whywestrive.com and subscribe, so every Tuesday you can see incredible interviews with some of the best tech founders, investors, and creatives in the industry. Have an amazing day, and don't forget to keep striving.